This short video will show you a few advanced Google search techniques and also walk you through evaluating and citing websites that you find for your academic work. Have you ever noticed the advanced Google search form? I am always surprised by how often this is overlooked. If you go ahead and click on Advanced Search, there's a handy search form that can help you narrow your Google searches so that you have the more relevant websites rise to the top of your results list. So let's say I have observed some teenagers and their reading habits, and that is the community that I'm researching. I might be interested in learning more about teenagers and their reading habits, but one thing that I noticed in my observations is that teens were reading more graphic novels. So I'm going to do a web search to find more, to find information on graphic novel use in teens. So let's start with putting in some search terms. So I'm interested in reading and literacy. I also noticed that reluctant readers, that was a theme in my observations, that not all of the teens who were picking up graphic novels were necessarily active readers. They might be a little bit reluctant in their reading habits. And I also noticed that that was a phrase that the teachers used a lot to describe these teens, and so I thought I'd use that as a search term. So you'll need to think that way in terms of your topics as well. As you learn more about them, you might try different search phrases. I'm also going to put in graphic novels. Notice that it's going to search this as an exact phrase, and so it's put quotes around graphic novels in the search string up at the top there. I'm not interested in graphic novel use by all people. I'm just interested in graphic novels and teenagers. So I might put in adolescents, or teens are good. That's keyword is good, or youth. So putting or in between the words looks for any of those terms. But I also noticed that in some of my searches there was a lot of information about manga coming up, which is a genre of graphic novel, and I'm not so interested in manga at this time, and so I don't want my searches to include the word manga, so now it's put a negative sign in front of manga there. The next search tool that I'd like to show you is limiting by site or domain. I'm not interested in commercial websites at this point, so I don't want to find .coms. But I'm interested to see if there are any organizations out there that dedicate themselves, nonprofits basically, to being informative around teens and literacy. So I'm going to limit my site to .org, and this is what the search string would look like if I just wanted to type it in my Google search. site:/org. Now it's just limiting our results list to .org sites. And I'll go ahead and click Advanced Search. And here's a results list. I would encourage you to scroll down and view at least all of the websites on the first page of your results list, and also the second page. Move on to the second page because interesting things will pop up on the second and third page of a Google results list. And I also encourage you to refine your search terms. If you're not finding what you want in the results list, go back to the advanced search and change the terms that you put in the search boxes. For now, let's go ahead and click on the first result here, adlit.org. Adolescent Literacy, Award-Winning Books for Tweens. And then I read here, kids who struggle with reading often avoid books altogether. It looks like it has some information for me that's relevant. It also has reluctant readers here pulling up, so that it does seem relevant to me. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the title of this website. Let's take a look at it. First of all, I noticed that it looks like a well-established website. It doesn't look homegrown like it's a personal blog. Some of the clues is because it has a big header here, and it looks fairly informational. In its scope, I don't see any ads popping up trying to sell me anything, so that's a good sign. So it looks worth investigating a bit. And my eye, of course, goes straight to some of these examples of good teen literature. But as I look over here, I notice there's AdLit 101. And I'm curious about that. It sounds kind of informational, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And here I have a web article. It's a web published by this organization, and it has a whole bunch of information now about the research on adolescent literacy. So this definitely looks on my topic. Oh, and I also notice that there is a reference list here. That could be handy. It also catches my eye that this article is written by a PhD, so that's a good sign. And that there are other topics that I might investigate. Here's a tip. Be sure to check the reference list if one's included. This is a great way to find more resources on your topic. This is thinking laterally about how resources will come to you as you do your research. So I'm going to browse down this list of articles and books and see if there are other book things that I want to go track down. And this is when, using this reference list, you would go to the library homepage, and if it's a journal article, you want to look for that journal in the library and do a journal title search. But if it's a book, you're going to want to look for the title of that book in the library.